Why does your life feel so heavy to you? I want you to really stay with that question for a moment. When you wake up in the morning, before you have even had your coffee, before you have checked your phone, there is often a sensation of weight. It feels like your history is a backpack filled with stones that you must strap to your shoulders every single day. We are taught from a very young age that reality is hard. We are taught that life is a struggle against solid objects. We look at our problems and they seem like walls. We look at our debts, our illnesses, and our broken relationships, and they seem like fixed, immovable barriers. We push against them with all our might. We fight them, we argue with them, and they do not move. This creates a deep, subtle exhaustion in the soul. But I want you to listen very closely to what I am about to tell you, because this is the secret that changes everything. This heaviness is an optical illusion. It is a misunderstanding of the fundamental material of the universe. You are suffering because you are trying to navigate a fluid world as if it were made of concrete. Let us go back to the very beginning of the wisdom you know. Think about the ancient scriptures. They do not say that in the beginning there was mud. They do not say in the beginning there was stone or steel or struggle. They say in the beginning was the Word. Think about that deeply. The Word. What is a word? It is not a physical object you can hold in your hand. You cannot put a word in a box. A word is a sound. It is a breath. It is a vibration. This is the secret code of the universe. The foundation of everything you see and touch is not solid matter. It is divine music. It is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Modern science tells us the exact same thing. If you take a powerful microscope and look deep inside a rock or deep inside your own hand, you will find cells. Inside the cells you find molecules. Inside the molecules you find atoms. But if you look inside the atom, what do you find? You do not find little hard balls of matter. You find empty space. You find probability. You find energy flashing in and out of existence. The physicists tell us that the atom is 99% empty space. This means that the chair you are sitting on is mostly empty space. The floor beneath your feet is mostly empty space. So why does it feel solid? Why can you not put your hand through the table? It is because of the speed of the vibration. Think of a fan spinning on your ceiling. When the fan is stopped, you can put your hand between the blades. There is plenty of open space. But when the fan is spinning at high speed, it looks like a solid disc. If you try to touch it, it feels like a solid wall. The only difference is the speed of the movement. This is the reality of your life. The world around you looks solid, but that is just a trick of the senses. If you could look at reality with the eyes of a mystic or the eyes of the Creator, you would see that everything is just the Creator's breath holding a steady pitch. The mountains, the oceans, your physical body, and your bank account are all just energy moving at a specific rate. When you understand this, the engineering of your life changes completely. You realize that you are not a small, weak object trying to push against a heavy world. You are part of the song. You are a process. You are a flow. The heaviness you feel is not the weight of the world. It is simply the friction of being out of tune. When you are full of fear, when you are full of anger or shame, you are lowering your vibration. You are becoming dense. You are becoming like the fan that has stopped spinning. You feel heavy because you have disconnected from the flow of the spirit. You are trying to live as dense matter, separated from the power source. But the moment you remember that you are made of the same energy as the stars, the weight begins to lift. You realize that you do not need to push the world with your hands. You do not need to force the door open. You need to change your frequency. You need to tune your instrument, because when you change the vibration inside, the reflection in the mirror has no choice but to change. This is the beginning of mastery. This is the waking up. Let us look closely at the human design. You have a body. You have hands. You have a heart that beats. You have a face that you look at in the mirror every morning. But I want you to consider a very strange and powerful truth. You have a body, but you are not the body. The body is the temple. It is the vessel. It is the hardware that allows you to interface with this physical reality. But an instrument without a musician is silent. A computer without electricity is just a pile of plastic and metal. You are the consciousness inside the temple. You are the energy that animates the clay. In the engineering of the soul, we must make a very clear distinction between two operating systems. The ancient texts call these the flesh and the spirit. Now, when people hear the word flesh, they often think of sin or bad behavior. But I want you to look at it like an engineer. The flesh is simply the biological hardware. It is the survival mechanism. Your body is designed to survive. It is programmed to look for danger. It is programmed to fear death. It is programmed to hoard resources and compete with others. This is not evil. It is just mechanics. It is the operating system of the animal. When you live your life identified only with the body, you are running on this old limited software. You are constantly reactive. You are constantly afraid. You are always looking for safety because the body knows that one day it will perish. But then there is the spirit. The spirit is the high voltage current that runs through the wire. It is your connection to the source of all life. It is the breath of God inside the machine. The spirit does not fear death because energy cannot be destroyed. The spirit does not fear lack because it is connected to the infinite supply. The problem with the modern human being is that we have forgotten who we are. We have identified completely with the vehicle. Imagine a driver who sits in a car for so long that he forgets he can get out. He thinks he is the car. When the car gets a scratch, he screams in pain. When the car runs out of gas, he thinks he is dying. This is the state of the unconscious human. You think you are the tired, anxious, limited body. You think you are the history of your trauma. This is why you are so exhausted. Think about a battery. A battery has a limited amount of energy. If you run a machine on a battery, eventually it will drain, it will get weak, it will stop. When you live from the perspective of the flesh, you are like a battery that has disconnected from the wall. You are trying to generate your own power. You are trying to force your life to work using your own small, limited willpower. You grind, you hustle, you stress, and eventually you burn out. But imagine a light bulb. Does the light bulb worry about running out of light? Does it strain and struggle to shine? No, it simply stays connected to the socket. It realizes that the energy flowing through it does not belong to it. It comes from a power grid that is effectively infinite. The light bulb is just the vessel. Its only job is to stay screwed in. Its only job is to keep the glass clean. You are that light bulb. The energy that beats your heart is not yours. You do not beat your heart. You do not digest your food. You do not grow your hair. It is being done for you. It is the intelligence of the Creator flowing through the system. When you shift your identity from the vessel to the energy, the fear begins to dissolve. You realize that you do not have to protect yourself constantly. You do not have to defend your image. You are safe because you are not the thing that can be broken. You are the life that occupies the form. The work of spiritual awakening is not to destroy the body or hate the world. It is simply to recognize the hierarchy. The spirit is the master. The body is the servant. When the master is asleep, the servant runs the house, and the house becomes chaotic. The servant is scared. The servant does not know how to lead. But when the master wakes up, order is restored. So today, I want you to practice this shift. When you feel tired, when you feel afraid, remind yourself, this fear belongs to the vessel. It is just the hum of the machine. It is not me. I am the current. I am the witness. I am the open door through which the infinite passes into the finite. Keep your connection clean. Keep the wire free of corrosion and let the power run through you. You have heard it said that faith can move mountains. For centuries, people have heard this phrase and smiled politely. They think it is just poetry. They think it is a beautiful metaphor meant to make us feel better when times are hard. Or they think it means that if you close your eyes and wish hard enough, some invisible magic will happen to save you. But I am here to tell you that this is not magic. This is physics. It is the advanced mechanics of how consciousness interacts with matter. Let us look at this like engineers. What is a mountain? To the eyes of the body, a mountain is a massive, heavy, immovable object made of rock. It is an obstacle. It is something that blocks your path. But to the eyes of the quantum universe, a mountain is simply a massive concentration of energy standing still. It is energy vibrating at a very low, very dense frequency. It is slow, it is heavy, it creates a gravitational pull. And now, what is faith? Faith is not blind hope, it is not wishing. Faith is high-frequency intention. It is the ability to hold a vision in your mind with such absolute clarity, such absolute structural integrity, that it begins to create a magnetic field. Faith is coherence. Think of a light bulb. It sends light out in every direction. It is weak, it scatters. Now think of a laser. A laser is the same light, but the waves are coherent. They are lined up perfectly, they move together. Because of this coherence, a laser can cut through steel. Faith is the laser of the soul. It is when your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs are all lined up in perfect unison. When the master walked on water, he was demonstrating a law of physics that we are only just beginning to understand in the modern world. He did not sink. Why? Because he knew something about the water that the water did not know about itself. He knew that the water was not solid. He knew that the laws of density are not absolute. They can be overridden by the laws of the spirit. He was vibrating at a frequency so high, so fast, and so light that the gravity of the physical world could not grab hold of him. He was operating on a different operating system. He essentially hacked the code of the matrix. He showed us that matter is not the master. Consciousness is the master. The water had to support him, because his intention was more real than the liquid beneath his feet. Now look at your own life. You have mountains. You have impossible situations. Maybe it is a debt that feels like it will bury you. Maybe it is a sickness in the body. Maybe it is a relationship that has turned cold and hard like stone. You try to move these mountains with your hands. You try to move them with your stress. You worry about them. You argue with them. You lose sleep over them. And what happens? Nothing. The mountain does not move. It does not move because you are vibrating at the same level as the problem. This is the crucial engineering error. You cannot solve a problem at the frequency of the problem. If you are angry at the mountain, you are matching the mountain's density. If you are afraid of the debt, you are matching the frequency of lack. You are telling the universe, this problem is real, this problem is heavy, and I am weak. To move the mountain, you must go higher. You must leave the frequency of the problem. You must stand in the authority of your inner knowing. You must know deep in your engineering core that the external world is fluid, it is responsive, it is waiting for a command. When you have true faith, you do not beg the mountain to move. You do not scream at it. You simply shift your internal state. You see the mountain dissolving. You feel the reality of the solution before the solution arrives. You walk as if the bridge is already there. This is the physics of miracles. A miracle is just what happens when high-frequency laws override low-frequency laws. When your signal is clear, when your signal is free of doubt and static, reality has no choice. It must reshape itself around you. The atoms must rearrange themselves to match the blueprint you are holding in your soul. This is your power. Stop pushing the rock and start tuning the signal. If we are designed to be powerful vessels of light, if we are built to move mountains, then why do we suffer? Why do we sink? Why do we feel so small and helpless so much of the time? The answer is technical interference. There is a noise in the system that disrupts the signal. We call this interference fear. We often think of fear as an emotion. We think it is a reaction to something scary happening outside of us. But in the engineering of the soul, fear is not just a feeling, it is a frequency. It is a specific chaotic vibration. When you are in a state of love or peace, your energy field is expanded, it is open, it is rhythmic. But when you enter the frequency of fear, your energy field contracts, it tightens, it becomes dense. Think about the story of Peter stepping out of the boat. It is a perfect diagram of this mechanism. Peter steps onto the water. For a moment, he is doing the impossible. He is walking on the waves. Why? Because his eyes are fixed on the master. His attention is locked onto the source of power. He is tuned into the high frequency of possibility. He is resonating with the truth that matter is fluid. But then, the scripture says, he saw the wind, he looked at the waves. This is the moment the signal dropped. He took his attention off the source and placed it on the storm. He let the sensory data of the chaos enter his mind. He analyzed the situation with his logical animal brain, and his brain said, "This is impossible. You are heavy. Water is deep. You are going to die." The moment he believed that thought, his frequency dropped. He went from being a spiritual being operating on faith to a physical object operating on gravity. And what happened? He sank. He became heavy instantly. The physics of his body changed to match the physics of his fear. This is exactly what happens in your life. Every single day, you have a moment of clarity. You have a moment where you feel strong. You decide you are going to change your life. You decide you are going to heal. You feel light. You feel capable. But then you look at the wind. You look at your bank account. You watch the news. You listen to the doubts of your family. You remember your past failures. You let the static in. And just like that, you sink. The heaviness returns. The depression returns. The anxiety wraps around your chest like a tight band. You think, "I was foolish to dream." Reality is hard, but you must understand, the fear is not the truth. The fear is the interference. Fear shuts down the higher functions of your consciousness. When you are in fear, you are operating from the reptile brain. You cannot create from there. You cannot see solutions from there. You can only react. You can only survive. The engineer of the soul learns to recognize fear not as a valid report on reality, but as a glitch in the connection. When you feel anxiety rising, do not analyze it. Do not pull up a chair and have a conversation with your fear. Do not argue with it. Simply recognize that you have lost your connection. You have looked at the wind. You have dropped your gaze from the eternal to the temporary. The work is to catch yourself sinking. The moment you feel that heaviness, stop, take a breath. Realize that you have disconnected from the power source. You have become a battery again. And the remedy is not to fight the waves. The remedy is to look back at the master. Look back at the light. Retune your attention to the frequency of trust. The moment you do that, the density evaporates, the hand reaches out, and you are lifted back onto the surface of the water. So how do we get back to the high ground? How do we fix the signal when we have sunk into the noise? We must learn the technology of tuning. Think of your soul like a very delicate, very powerful instrument, like a violin or a grand piano. If you leave a violin sitting out in the cold or the humidity, it goes out of tune. If you bang it around, it goes out of tune. You cannot play beautiful music on an instrument that is warped. You must tune it, and you must tune it every single day. Most human beings do not do this. They wake up in the morning and immediately tune themselves to the noise of the world. The first thing they do is pick up their phone. They check the news. They look at emails. They remember their arguments. They rush into the day with their internal wires tangled and screeching. They are playing an instrument that is completely discordant, and then they wonder why their life feels like chaos. They wonder why their interactions are painful. It is because they are broadcasting a chaotic signal. There are specific tools given to us for this tuning process. These are not religious rituals to appease a distant god. They are maintenance protocols for your own energy system. The first tool is gratitude. Now, I know you have heard this word 1,000 times, but I want you to understand the mechanics of it. Gratitude is a frequency modulator. When you are in a state of complaint or lack, you are vibrating at a frequency that says, "I do not have enough." This closes your system. It is like pinching a hose. The flow stops. But when you focus on what you are grateful for, you physically change the vibration of your brain and heart. You shift from a state of defense to a state of reception. You open the valve. It is impossible to be in fear and true gratitude at the same time. They are different frequencies. Gratitude pulls you up the scale. The second tool is forgiveness. This is the hardest one for the human ego. We think forgiveness is weakness. We think it means letting the other person win. But in engineering terms, unforgiveness is a blockage in the pipe. It is old, stagnant, toxic energy that you are holding inside your own vessel. It does not hurt the other person. It rots you. It corrodes your own wire. When you forgive, you are not saying that what happened was okay. You are saying, "I will not let this old debris block my flow any longer." You release it. You flush the system. You cut the heavy anchor that is dragging behind your boat so that you can move forward. The third tool is prayer. Real prayer is not begging. It is not asking a cosmic Santa Claus for favors. Prayer is aligning your will with the divine current. It is sitting in the silence and letting the mud settle. It is bringing your small, confused, anxious mind into the presence of the vast, ordered, peaceful mind of the Creator. When you do this, something physical happens. You are recharged. You are retuned. You feel the hum of the universe again. You remember who you are. This is the work. You cannot just hope to have a good day. You must build the architecture for it. You must tune the instrument before you walk out the door. When you are in tune, the world sounds different. The noise becomes music. The obstacles become opportunities. You are ready to play your part in the symphony. We spend our entire lives looking for peace. We are like hungry ghosts, searching the world for something that will make us feel full. We look for peace in money. We think if we just have enough numbers in the bank, we will relax. We look for it in relationships. We think if we find the perfect person, we will be whole. We look for it in the approval of others. We treat peace like a destination on a map that we will arrive at one day after all the work is done. But the work is never done. The world never stops spinning. The problems never stop coming. The great secret, the secret that has been whispered by the mystics for thousands of years, is that the kingdom is within you. It is not a place you go when you die. It is not a reward for being good. It is a state of consciousness available to you right now. It is a frequency. The scriptures talk about the peace that passes understanding. What does that mean? It means a peace that does not make logical sense. It is easy to be peaceful when everything is going well. That is cheap peace. That is fragile peace. But the peace of the spirit is different. It is the ability to stand in the middle of the storm and be completely calm. Think of a spinning top. When a top spins slowly, it wobbles. It falls over easily. But when it spins very fast, it stands up straight. It looks perfectly still. It is stable. It cannot be knocked over. This is the state of the awakened soul. It is a state of high-velocity balance. The world around you may be in chaos. There may be economic crashes. There may be family drama. There may be noise everywhere. But inside, in the Holy of Holies of your own heart, there is a stillness that cannot be touched. This is where the engineer lives. You operate from this center. You do not leave the world. You do not hide in a cave. You go to your job. You raise your family. You pay your bills. But you do it from the inside out. You do not ask the world to give you peace. You bring the peace into the chaos. You bring the light into the darkness. You stop acting like a thermometer that just reflects the temperature of the room. You become the thermostat. You set the temperature. You are now standing at the doorway of a new understanding. You have a choice. You can go back to sleep. You can go back to believing that you are just a physical body fighting for survival in a hostile universe. You can put the backpack of stones back on your shoulders, or you can accept the truth of your design. You are a living temple of the divine energy. You are a vessel for the word to be made flesh again. Through you, in your life, in your time, this path requires practice. It is not a magic pill, it is a discipline. You must become the watchman of your own gate. You must watch your thoughts. You must guard your heart. When the old patterns of fear and anger arise, and they will arise, you must catch them. You must say, this is not who I am. This is just the old static. This is just the old programming. And then gently, without judgment, you return to the center. You return to the breath. You return to the gratitude. You retune the instrument. You are the light of the world. This was not a compliment. It was a statement of technical fact. Your consciousness illuminates the darkness. Where you go, the energy changes. When you walk into a room, you bring your frequency with you. If you are tuned to fear, you bring shadow. If you are tuned to love, you bring the dawn. The process is beginning now. Can you feel it? The heavy backpack is slipping off your shoulders. The water is waiting for your command. The mountain is waiting for your faith. Breathe deep. Trust the mechanism. The architect has designed you perfectly for this journey. You are ready. Walk in the light. If this message resonated with the frequency of your soul, I invite you to dive deeper with us. Watch the next video on the screen to continue your engineering of the self, and tell me in the comments below, what mountain are you ready to move today? I read your words and I honor your journey. Until next time.